a Premier League game week, which saw probably the first instalment of the title decider as Manchester City hosted Arsenal. And I celebrated a Man City goal much more than any West Ham goal I celebrated this weekend because yeah, I was quite glad to see Man City pull it back at the end. But we'll talk about all of that and lots more coming up in just a second. First of all, the normal gang are with me, Sean and Josh. How are we?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you?
Good stuff. I'm all right. Sean, how are you?
Good, mate. The weather hasn't been great, has it? Let's be honest, but
It's been chucking it down. Yeah, I got
it's
soaked
still
earlier.
unstopped. Somerset is very, very damp today.
Exactly. I've just had to shut the windows. I could hear the rain. It's
You poor thing.
It's a nightmare. Michael's in talking about, of course, Saturday, which we'll get onto that a little bit later on. It's everybody else joining us as well. Oh, that's what we've got to start, isn't it? I hate us being the past 12 kickoff because that means we've got to start with us as well, especially when we lose. West Ham 0, Chelsea 3. This means I've got to do something, haven't I? Yeah, it was dreadful. It was just absolutely dreadful. Nelly sent me over the edge, Nicholas Jackson doing some silly celebration, and then Palmer did his stupid went like that as well, which Nelly sent me over the edge, to be totally honest. And I just couldn't get my head around the tactics of it, to be totally honest. We set up 5 at the back with Alvarez as a sitting centre half, which left us overloaded in midfield entirely, and it was just a simple ball through twice in the first half. Inside 20 minutes, all of a sudden we're 2-0 down. Clinical from Chelsea. As you'd expect, they've got a bit of quality in their front men. Not a lot, but there's a bit there. And that was showcased. And yeah, they just ripped us apart. We had a bit of a spell towards the back end of the first half, 10 minutes, no more than that. Disallowed goal, penalty appeal, built a bit of pressure up, but then all that was alleviated as we switched off at the back again just after the sort of resumption after half time, and Palmer finishes the game 3-0 and a boring second half where Chelsea didn't get out of second gear and we didn't threaten at all. It was alarming, and there's been a lot of reaction to it. There's been a lot of anger and people going a little bit over the top, as you'd expect. If I'm totally honest, it wasn't great. It was pretty bad. It was probably up there with some of the bad ones from last season, probably challenging some of them. But look, at the end of the day, we've got he's acknowledged that it was wrong, and it flipping was too right, and hopefully he can rectify it. Not on Wednesday night against Liverpool, just write that off, don't even bother in the Carabao Cup. We're going to lose, just face that if we're honest, and let's see a response on Saturday against Brentford in what you'd argue is now a must-win game. Sean, anything to add?
Well, I actually watched this game, what I'd call West Ham country, to be honest. I was in North Kent for the whole weekend, and that sort of a lot of there is either West Ham or Millwall. So, you know for a fact I haven't been very impressed with you all season, really. And I know the excuse has been he's trying to get used to the team, picking the right team, finding out what players he can put where and all that, and he's even tinkered with the formations quite a fair bit as well. What I found alarming a little bit, and this has nothing to do with personnel, who we can pick at anything, I found you very, very easy to play against.
Yeah.
Not just in defence, but in attack as well. Like, you didn't look that dangerous. You'd remind me, I've said to you before about some of your players last year, you got very good individuals on the ball. And that's all I've really seen in most of your attacks. So one would get the ball on the wing, he'd run, beat a player, you might get a corner, then it'd fizzle out. And that was about it. It was more alarming when they got the ball. I noticed that, I think it was in the second half quite a few times, because they had a few breaks where I thought they were going to add another one or two, to be honest, at one point.
Yeah.
They were getting the ball about 20 yards out, 18 yards out, maybe just inside their own half. And you were so far away from them. Like, you were giving players, I don't know, say, like, one of the centre mids, the right winger, they'd get the ball and he'd have 15, 20 yards in front of him, no one closing down.
Oh, there was gaping holes of space everywhere. It was awful.
I just thought, I'm sure this isn't the case, but when teams do that and they stand off and invite teams on, it's usually at the end of when a manager's nearly ready to go. Do you know what I mean? Where the players just don't seem to have it in them. I'm sure that's not the case. He's only just come there, but you just look very, very easy to play against. Thought Chelsea cut through you very easy. Like, sometimes if teams are parked the bus, and that's teams that might be doing that more and more, but you'd almost sit back, but then they cut through you with ease. And that's not a very good combination. Do you know what I mean? If you park the bus, then you've got to be solid when they come near you. But it wasn't good. I think you said you've got Brentford coming up. If you look at Brentford's results so far this season, they're a little bit like West Ham's maybe. So I think you might know where you are after that game a little bit. I'm assuming it's away, is it? I'm assuming it's an away game. Obviously, it's not going to be easy. No. And you've got the stage of the season where I know only 5 games in, you probably wouldn't take a point now. I know some games, I'll take a point. I've read your dad's comments. I think against Fulham, he said he'd take a point. Against Chelsea, he'd take a point. Well, you got a fortunate point against Fulham, and you've got nowhere near a point against Chelsea. So you probably do need more than a point now to just lift the season already. Because obviously,
it's a must win. Yeah,
I didn't hear the fans at the end, but I don't know if there's any boos started or not. I don't know.
We were halfway back to the station.
But there is clearly unrest a little bit with fans wondering what the hell's going on. Like I said, it's very early days. It's hard to. I don't agree with slating the manager that much. You just look like a team. It's very easy to play against, and that's a little bit worrying. I think because even the poor teams who don't have the quality of maybe West Ham have, they can make it difficult for teams. And I don't even think West Ham did that. At the end of the day, if you lose 3-0 at home to anyone, be it Man City, be it Arsenal, I think it's always a bad result. Do you know what I mean? Whoever it is, because you've got, for the home fans, you've got to set up in a way just to keep it a bit tighter. Even if you know you're going to be outclassed and outplayed, you don't get rolled over easy 3-0. And it was an easy rolling over. It's as simple as that, really.
Oh, it was. They won't have an easy game all season. Let's go through some comments. Loppy's tactics don't press high. I mean, their keeper at one point stood on the ball for 15 seconds and no one even got near. And if we did half-heartedly press, it didn't really affect them, and they with ease sort of. I mean, it was like cutting. What's that saying? Cutting a knife through butter, I think is what it is. But it was literally like that, time after time after time. And the best player attacking wise for us, Somerville, we took off midway through the second half, and I just couldn't believe it. Look, you could argue either way with the penalty. Would it have bothered the game too much? I don't know. We're not going to talk about it because I don't think it'd bother the game anyway. But they put up on the screen something about it wasn't sustained holding, so they're acknowledging that he held him. And from the still, I haven't actually seen the clip. I've seen the still of him holding him. It looked a bit like he's a lightweight player. It looked a bit lightweight, but it's one of them. If he gives it, VAR are sitting back. If he doesn't give it, VAR aren't going to get involved. But let's see what's joining us. Sharky says, Monday Blues after that horror show on Saturday. Alvarez was playing in a Bobby Moore position. He played nothing like Bobby Moore. That was, someone's put Alvarez's worst game in a West Ham shirt. He didn't know whether he was coming or going, like centre half in midfield. It was just so bizarre, that first half an hour. I could not get my head around it. Fat says, best player first half, when I decided the gym seemed like a better prospect with Somerville. To bench him shows a total naivety. I agree. The whole team had a shocker except Somerville and Kudus. Absolutely.
Joe, I'm going to butt in there. I know you said Somerville played well and you needed to get a striker on clearly. Who would you have took off then?
I just took Paqueta off. I thought it was absolutely pathetic, to be honest.
I get that, but then you've got then 3 similar attacking winger types and the centre forward. And he didn't have a very good game, Paqueta, but the manager will be thinking about balance. So if you're not, so in my opinion, for balance, if you're not taking off Somerville, you're taking off Kudus. So
okay.
Do you know what and because he's a new player in the team, I can sort of get that logic. Because was it 3-0 by that point?
Yeah, 3-0. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose he just wanted to keep the balance, and the way they were cutting through you, if you take off a sort of a natural sort of centre midfield link-up player, he's probably a little bit in the back of my mind thinking we don't want to be 4 or 5.
It just added salt to the wound. Right, we'll move on to what I like to call, Josh, the hi-ho derby, because you've both seen the same song walking out, which is bizarre. Aston Villa 3, Wolverhampton 1. So it was hi-ho, Aston Villa 3, hi-ho, Wolverhampton 1. Josh, were you there?
I wasn't there this week. No, I went last week, but I couldn't get tickets for this week. But the hi-ho silver lining, I don't think it's quite as bad as that Bubbles one you sing. But
he's going to give it back now. Oh, he never used to do that. Crikey. Josh, steady on.
As for the game, I thought first half, I think Emery said it's worst performance under his tenure so far, which probably right to be fair. I can't repeat what he said in his match of the day interview, which sort of shows how bad it was. And first half, we were really, really poor. Definitely the worst half of his tenure. It's just they dominated the ball. They've only got a point all season, and they just completely controlled the game. The possession stats at half time, I think we had less than 40% possession, which is not what you want to see at home to a side who's got 1 point out of the first 4 games, but they just come and just completely controlled the first half. A stupid mistake from Diego Carlos for the first goal. It's the first time he's started a game this season. Sounds like they wanted to get rid of him in the summer, but they couldn't have moved to Fulham for him, fell through. And that's why we couldn't replace him because of PSR. So he's had to stay. He come in for this one, and straight about half an hour in, he gives the ball away. Just really, really lax on the ball. He always has been. A really poor pass, and Cunha puts it into the bottom corner, went in off the post. First half, it really, really was bad. We just couldn't get in the ball. The press was awful. That we were just letting their centre back sit on the ball, and none of the forwards would go anywhere near them. It was really, really poor. With the second half, we brought Leon Bailey on and Ian Matson. McGinn went off injured. Looks like it's a hamstring, which isn't ideal. But he come on for McGinn on the wing, which made a difference, just getting someone to run to full-back, which we've missed while Bailey's been injured, because he's the only natural winger we have, really. So that made a big difference. And then Ian Matson down the left as well, just a bit of pace down the left-hand side, really changed the game. We upped the intensity, upped the tempo, started moving the ball a lot quicker. And we battered them really second half. I think we always looked like scoring in the second half. It was definitely coming. We had them on the ropes from about 55, 60 minutes onwards. We had quite a few chances beforehand, before we scored the goal. And then obviously Duran coming on as well, about 65 minutes and getting his goal, as he always does. I think the second half performance, the subs and the change of tactics changed the game, won us the game, a bit like against West Ham on the opening day, which we can't say about any previous managers we've had before.
That's it, Josh. Bring that game up again. You're close to a second yellow,
But yeah, we couldn't say that under the previous managers we've had, where we've relied on the managers to do the right subs at the right time and change the game, go on and win. That's twice now this season already, where the game management has just turned the game around for us and won the game. Previously under like Gerrard or Smith, we just wouldn't have won these games, and that's the manager we have now, which is very good to see. Second half, it was a good performance. The first half wasn't ideal, but I think we definitely looked a bit leggy after playing in Europe in a week, which isn't ideal after one game in Europe that we're already looking leggy. Could have definitely affect us later down the line. But second half, we got the job done. But we have had a nice from the fixtures. We've had Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, next to Ipswich away, and United isn't going to be easy at all. But yeah, it was a good second half performance, and I'd say the manager changed the game. But as for Wolves, I think I said last week, they just seem to be getting worse and worse every year. One of them teams, which I think it's inevitable at one point they're going to drop. They threw a load of money at it as soon as they got to the Premier League. They did that for a few years, and they've had to sell about 6 players last 18 months, 2 years, because of PSR, and I think they're still struggling now with it. They're just about keeping their heads above water in terms of punishments. So it's not good for them. I don't think they've won yet. And to be fair, I was quite impressed with them first half. The way they come to our place and just control the game. I was really impressed. But I think they won up against Newcastle the week as well. I think against Chelsea, they were drawing half time and losing 5-2. So it's not great for them. Mosquera, the centre back, also going off on a stretcher in the second half, which is not ideal at all for them. I think they'll just about have enough Wolves, but it's not been great for them. I think they've won about 1 in 15 or something ridiculous, because remember they fell off the back end of last season as well after they were on a charge for Europe. I think last season they won about 1 in 10. That looks like it's carried over into this season a bit. I think they'll just about have enough, but it's not looking great for them at the minute.
Yeah, there we go. I was going to talk about the impact of Europe, but you sort of covered it there. Of course, since we last spoke, you had your first game in the basically newly branded European Super League that they call in the Champions League, which is quite bizarre. But there we go. Of course, beat Young Boys to get your campaign underway, and really, it's a Europa League game. You got a nice one early, didn't you, Young Boys, and got over the line. So yeah, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. Write some comments. Fathead reaffirms Bubbles is the best song in the Premier League, bar none. That does get you a yellow card, Josh. That was a low blow. That was. I mean, I didn't even say anything bad, and you had to pull that out of the bag. Couple of West Ham comments. What's depressing is that Souček was an upgrade on what started absolutely. He came on. I didn't even think he was that bad compared to what else was there, which knows how bad it was. The other Spurs fan has joined us in the world, Ronnie. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Duran, do we even need to go there? He scored again. He's scoring every week just to rub salt into the wound. Duran. Oh, dearie me. Right then, good job. Ronnie is here because we're next going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium where Brentford scored early once again, but it was in a losing feat. Spurs 3, Brentford 1. I was quite happy because this is the exact game. This is the exact scoreline that I predicted on our Predictions League. The only exact I got of the week, so I was pretty chuffed, Sean.
Yeah, I thought Spurs played very well. I was out and I managed to watch the whole game back Sunday morning, I think it was. We played well most of the season, but the problem has been putting the ball in the net. We probably should have scored one or two more, I thought. But again, we are prone to overpassing it a little bit. Remember I said before about looking for that perfect goal. Yeah. We do look for that. It was interesting that it was our lowest. I think it was our lowest possession percentage of the season so far. I've got a funny feeling Brentford edged it. I think Brentford had 52% or something like that. That was interesting because the games where we've absolutely dominated on like 70% and where we've been up against the low block more, we've struggled to get the ball in the net. So obviously against Coventry, was that last week, we were very, very poor against them for a long spell.
That sent me to sleep, that did, Sean.
I didn't think it was a bad game because Tottenham games are going to be entertaining. If you're a neutral, you put a Tottenham game on, you know you're going to be entertained because if Tottenham are poor, they're going to get overrun. If they're good, they're going to play brilliant football. And I was disappointed in North London derby. I thought that would be a better game. But Arsenal went for the same approach they did with Man City yesterday. So they're going to start killing games. But this was a good performance. I was happy with it. Maddison was very, very good. I don't think he started the season too badly, to be honest. I think we're up to 10th now, which is nowhere near where we need to be. But the potential there to be far, far better is there. Do you know what I mean? I know stats don't mean a great deal, but we're like number one in stats in many, many attacking elements of the game, ahead of anyone in the league. We have got to start putting the ball away, though. Just like that, maybe trying to hold on to it too long, overpassing. Son had a great game. I think he set up like 6 chances and got an assist. But he seems reluctant to pull the trigger himself. Solanke got an easy goal. If he can get a bit sharper and start hitting some first time, we can start building it. We got Man United at Old Trafford at the weekend after a European tie. We're hard to predict at the moment, but it is entertaining football. I don't think Ange can do too much more. On the goalkeeper, remember I don't know if you've seen the still shots that come out yesterday of the Man City goalkeeper getting blocked in the same way against Arsenal.
Vicario's still not a commanding keeper, though, is he? Let's be honest.
You don't need to be in the Premier League at corners anymore. You don't. Not many. If a goalkeeper comes out and barges the defender and punches it, they get slagged off for punching it. So he's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. I'll give you that. However, these corners is a bit of a myth of him. He got caught out once or twice. They changed the rules to protect the goalkeepers in pre-season. The Arsenal one, I said the other day, Gary Neville was dying to blame him. It's exactly the same.
That really annoyed you, didn't it?
Well, it annoyed me more that people get influenced by either what they see right straight away and not really think about it. If you watch the replay of the Arsenal corners, they'll do it against everyone. I hate to say it, but they've sort of, I don't hate to say this, they've almost gone for sort of Mourinho-esque tactics a little bit. I know I don't want to move on to Arsenal, but the dark arts a little bit, and it is there on the corners. They're doing as much as they can, but then to not break the laws. So they're standing there. You can stand still and block the keeper. If you put two,
They've got their money's worth out of their set piece coach. He's on a goal bonus, I expect.
Yeah, they've worked it very, very well, and they will do it against everyone. They'll especially do it against the good sides, which they maybe don't want to risk coming out attacking. But yeah, Vicari, he's not the biggest keeper in the build-wise, quite tall, but he's not build-wise. He's not the biggest. And obviously, he had that little moment where he handballed outside the box, but that's not really a big deal story anyway, to be honest with you. But we're playing well. I'm not, like I said, we got United away. I'm not 100% sure we're going to go down and win. I think they'll go there to win. They certainly won't go there for a point because that's not what Ange does. But that'll probably it should be another good game as long as United don't park the bus and let us have the ball like Arsenal did last week, because that can kill football matches. Do you know what I mean? And even yesterday's game with City and Arsenal, the second half was a bit of a bore.
Yeah.
But,
Ronnie says we played well. 22 shots. What was different? Brentford had more of the ball, 52%. I would have said Brentford at home. We would have had 70%. To be fair, that surprised me actually. But to be fair, we had more shots and more attempts on goal than Chelsea. We got battered.
I don't think that's because Brentford had lots. We let them have lots of the ball. I think that was just a change of approach from Ange. You know what I mean? That was just a tweak. It wasn't that Brentford had loads of the ball out playing it around us and we couldn't get it. I think that was a definite tweak by Ange to think, right, hang on, let's not constantly want the ball, because sometimes if you've constantly got the ball, you've got less space. If you've constantly got the ball and teams let you have it, they tend to retreat and the sort of closes the gaps up a little. But like I said about West Ham earlier, usually when you sit deep, the gaps aren't there. Obviously, they were there against Chelsea, but
they were definitely there.
I've seen that Newcastle did it, we lost. Leicester did it, we drew. Arsenal did it, we lost. They just retreat and let us have the ball. Then we struggle to create those clear-cut chances. So it was a purpose thing from Ange. He clearly thought, right, let's let them have that ball. Let's draw them out. Do you know what I mean? Draw them out. Then you set traps. Then you pounce. Then you press. And that's what you do. We're a high press team. Let them have the ball, press it, win it. So it worked.
I think definitely 2/3 of this panel hopes definitely not, Michael. If I'm totally honest, I really do hope not. But I mean, we'll come on to Arsenal City in a short while, and we'll talk about the impact of that Rodri injury, which is going to be exponential. But next, we'll go. We're going to switch things up a little bit and go to St Mary's. Southampton 1, Ipswich 1. Now, the reason I picked this game, Josh, was to get a bit of press out there for these two. A killer blow for Southampton, conceding in the last minute to secure all 3 points, but a brilliant goal to top off an away day for Ipswich, and the honours are shared 1-1.
Yeah, I think it's a must-win for Southampton after the start they've had, and then you have a home game against Ipswich. I think you've got to win, which I think they have to do. From what I've seen, they had quite a few decent chances throughout the game, and they've let it slip late on, basically. Tyler Dibbling, the young lad who played against Man United last week, he looked really impressive, and then I think he scored this week as well and played well again. I think he's only 18. He looks very good. I think they've got a future star on the hands there. I'm not sure how long he'll be there. He looks a very good player. Cameron Archer as well from Villa, another good young player. He signed it from off the summer. He could have had a hat-trick. He had so many chances, but he just couldn't score. Obviously, last week he missed the penalty as well against United. Just everything he hit was just wouldn't go in the other day. And Ipswich, they sort of soaked up the pressure, had a few chances on the break, and eventually just a shot deflected and it ends up in the top corner. So it's a crucial point for Ipswich. I think they're on 3 now, Hardy, whereas they've had 3 draws, whereas Southampton are just on the 1. So I think when you look at that, after Southampton losing all the first 4 games, I think they're playing Ipswich at home. You've got to be looking to win now if you want to stay in the league. And they couldn't. I really don't see much hope. I don't have much hope at all for Southampton unless they change the way they play. I think they've had more possession than every team they've played in every game so far. think they've got the most passes in the league. That the other day, more than Man City, which just shows the way they play. And I think in the Premier League, Burnley tried to do it last season, they were punished. And I think that Burnley squad was even better than Southampton, and they still comfortably went down. So I think these trying to do it, I just think I've got no hope for them unless Russell Martin changes his style of play or they sack him. I really don't see any hope. And even if they do change, go a bit more direct, the squad is not really Premier League quality at all. As I said, they've got a few of the young players, Dibbling, Archer, and then you've got obviously the experience of Adam Lallana, people like that in the middle. But I just don't think on paper that squad is good enough for the Premier League, and especially when trying to play that way, I really don't have any hope for them. As for Ipswich, I'd probably give them the most hope out of all newly promoted teams. I think they give it quite a decent go in the market. Players like Sammy Smodic's coming in from the Championship, who's very good. You've got Calvin Phillips as well. Jack Clark also from the Championship of Sunderland. He's a very good player. I think they give it quite a decent go in the market. And I think they'll have a good chance, to be honest. Kieran McHenry's one of the best coaches, and definitely. And he's adaptable as well. He's willing to change the way he plays in order to win. They go with a bit more of a direct system. So I think it's a good chance, to be fair. And they didn't play well at the weekend, but it's a crucial point for them. And points, at the season, you could look back on, and it could keep them up. I think they still win, but they've had quite a few draws. So yeah, I think it's not been a bad start at all for Ipswich. As for Southampton, I really don't see how they're going to stay in the division. But yeah, great point for Ipswich.
Yeah, an interesting game. I've got no idea what's happened to Sean, so hopefully he will rejoin us very shortly. But yeah, I just saw this game and I thought Southampton, it was a must-win game, as you said. They really needed to get themselves with 3 points on the board, and they couldn't. And yeah, you've summed that up well. I think it's both sides. Hopefully, factors there. Two teams who will end up below West Ham, but if they don't, then we're in trouble. To be totally honest. So I hope you're right there. Now we were going to do the Brighton Forest game, but I am going to bypass that unless you've got any severe disputes of that, and go to give you both a couple of minutes to discuss the biggie, Manchester City 2, Arsenal 2. Sean, I'm going to start with you. 2 minutes each, go.
Like I said a minute ago, Arsenal team have gone for this little approach now where they haven't managed to get over the line the last couple of seasons. They're now going with a sort of dark arts sort of route a little bit, adding an extra element to their game. The time wasting, I think Arteta moaned where the extra 7 minutes come from. Well, I think I've read that the goal kicks alone wasted 9 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're going to try that. They've got to do what they can to get over the line. Obviously, Rodri being out probably for the whole season is a big help. City are going to have to, I think they're going to have to change how they play a little bit because they haven't got a like for like, and their results when he's been missing prove that. So they're going to have to tweak something in midfield. I did like all the afters. I'm not going to lie. I've missed that in the game because the game's gone a bit soft. Like, I like Haaland, but seeing him wind all that up, I'd probably like. It's the most I've ever liked him, I think. Throwing the ball when he barred Partey out the way, having it large of Arteta after. Then I've seen Ben White trying to square up the Foden. And clearly the other England boys at City don't like Ben White because they all come straight in and have a go at him. Yeah, it's just that I'll be honest, I'm surprised Arteta's doing this approach. I was even surprised last week he let us have the ball for the whole game. He shows that much confidence in his set pieces. Now, I always had Arteta down as a bit of a Pep sort of clone a little bit. Wanted to pass you off the field. They can still do that. They got the quality to do that. But him now going for this, really focus on set pieces to add an extra element, the time wasting. Do you know what I mean? I'm surprised he's going for it. Maybe he's running out of ideas how to get his team over the line to win a title. It might work. I don't know. But it has surprised me. And I think it's been highlighted. Doesn't take a lot for things to get highlighted now. How they were against Tottenham, how they were against City, refs, the press, rival fans, things like that. They'll be on top of that now. So that's something to look out for because I don't see it stopping. So let's see if it happens. Their best news of the season so far is Rodri being out. I'm not sure I can see anyone else, probably not even Liverpool, finishing above Arsenal other than City. So, yeah, it's a big game early in the season. The result, I don't think, means a great deal. It's the larger context of it, really. Arsenal style, Rodri being out, and that's it. We've got to keep going, don't we?
I think the Rodri injury is probably, as you said, more significant than the actual scoreline yesterday, because they fell to pieces at points last season without Rodri in that side. And when I saw the news, I wasn't best pleased, to be honest. And hopefully they can get him back for the bitter end of the season. But it's a huge, huge blow for Manchester City. Josh, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I'll just say before the whole Rodri situation first for the game. Yeah, I thought like City still won the league last year without Gundogan and De Bruyne, because De Bruyne was injured for most of the season, and then Gundogan, obviously, he went to Barcelona. So I thought, now they've got them two back, they should easily win it this year. But I think Rodri is definitely going to be a massive loss, and I really can't have them win the league again. So I was quite pleased, to be honest, this afternoon when I saw that he was out for the season. For that a big blow for them. Although then again, they said yesterday was the first game Rodri played last season. I'm sure they heard him say that, and he won the first four without him. So maybe they ordered that a bit more to play without him. But as for the game, Arsenal, I think now they're so good as a unit. I think I've said it before, Neil. Like, I think Gabriel and Saliba are probably the defensive centre pairing in the league. Arteta, he's gotten so hard to beat now. I think he used to, as Sean said, he sort of copy Pep a bit, be a bit more like play a bit more possession-based football, high press, expansive football. Then now the sort of change, it's just a more hard to beat team. They're much better as a unit, probably the strongest team as a unit in the league. As I said, Saliba and Gabriel, best centre back pairing in the league, I think. They're so hard to beat. And then obviously City got the early goal, and then not much happened the rest of the first half until the Trossard second yellow, which I've just thought was really stupid. Yes, you can play in the silly rule, but when you're on a booking, why are you doing that? That's really, really stupid from Trossard, in my opinion. And then obviously left them with 10 men, and I just thought City couldn't break them down at all. I can't really think of any clear-cut chances they had until the goal. City, I mean, they quite literally defined park the bus Arsenal. I think even Havertz, who was meant to be the striker, out of possession, he was just playing like a DM. Every single player was on the edge of the box. When they cleared it, he just had no outlet, because Havertz, who was a striker, he was on the edge of the box. The only outlet was Martinelli, who was up against Walker, and I think he was a bit scared of him. He never really tried to have a go at him. But Martinelli was quite poor. And then they brought Gabriel Jesus on, who actually did quite well defensively. But they just didn't look like breaking him down. As I say, just kept passing it around the edge of the box. Eventually, you go to Ruben Diaz, who just hit a shot and go and Rose. It really didn't look like breaking him down at all. Until the last minute, one little switch off, and that happened. They score. But yeah, I think Arsenal, they defended really, really well. I mean, they quite literally defined park the bus, and it very nearly worked for them. As City, I thought they were really poor as well. When you're playing against 10 men, you've got to move the ball much quicker. You were just passing it around the edge of the box, and eventually, I'd say, go to Ruben Diaz or one of the centre backs, who just absolutely levered it over the bar. Didn't really see what they were trying to do. But yeah, I think Rodri being out is going to be a big boost for Arsenal and Liverpool, if you want to count them as a title challenger. Definitely going to be a big boost for them. But I don't know how much it will affect them. As I say, they won the first 4 games without Rodri, I believe. So we'll see. They've got Gundogan back now. Will that be more important? Probably not, but should still give them a very decent chance. But yeah, I felt a bit sorry for Arsenal, to be honest. I thought they defended superbly yesterday.
Oh, don't feel sorry for them, Josh. Come on.
Can't have them winning it again. What will it be? 7 out of 8, will it? Or 6?
That's all right. We don't mind. Fine by me.
I absolutely do. It's becoming more like the French league every year. So yeah, I just love a different winner, to be honest. Not Liverpool, but Arsenal are very unlucky. But with the Rodri injury, we'll see what happens.
a prime and proper Barclays Premier League game, wasn't it? And it had most things in it, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. There's a couple of comments saying that Josh, you're turning into Sean in terms of looks, like that he's turning into you, which made me chuckle there. I can, when somebody says, see the similarity between you two. Is there something you're not telling me here, lads? Or
Definitely not, mate.
Only joking. That's not very nice, Sean. Thank you very much, gents. As always, we'll see you next week. It is Tottenham Manchester United next week. That'll be the highlight game to discuss. But until then, drop a like on the video. Are we all in Carabao Cup action this week? Sean, are you still in that competition, or have you thrown that yet?
But no, they.
Oh yeah, Coventry, wasn't it? Oh yeah, that was the Coventry game. I remember.
We're in Europe this week. They've sort of split it, haven't they? So 1 week,
I
half
see.
teams were in Europe last week, half team were in the League Cup.
This was when they bodged the League Cup draw, so they put all of the big six sides against not each other, wasn't it?
Yeah, it kind of sort of makes sense now. You see how these ties have panned out. It's all because UEFA won the whacking an extra game, isn't it? That's all it is. Yeah. So it's made it a bit messy because we won last week and they're not doing the draw until Wednesday night, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Wednesday night after our battering of Liverpool. So,
I think we got UEFA Cup, Europa Cup League thing on Thursday.
Europa League. Are you going to throw that one as well, Sean?
I can't even remember who we've got. Is it Carabao? I'm not even entirely sure.
He hasn't got a clue. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Sean, as always. And we will see you next week. Preview for Liverpool tomorrow night, and then we'll build up to that must-win game at Brentford on Saturday. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.